So, Nurse Connie, why don't you tell me your story?
The story that we talked about when I was a student nurse working at the state hospital, and it was my psych rotation my senior year,
Yes.
about the patient that I don't remember his name, but he was an 18-year-old, and he had been admitted. He was on the unlocked mixed ward, and he had hypoglycemia, and his sister had been foster children, and they were actually studying him because he was hypoglycemia, to see if that had any effect on his behavior and his thinking process. So, into about week 1 or 2 or 3, I don't recall how many weeks, but anyway, when I came in one day, he was not on the locked unit. Unlocked unit. He had been moved to the locked unit. And so nobody could tell me why. And part of our grade was to have conversation with our patients and be able to document the progress that we were making with those conversations. Anyway, so I found out what unit he had been moved to, and it was a locked men's unit. And so I went down to see him to find out why he'd been moved, why he had been transferred, what had transpired in the last 18 hours or whatever that I'd seen him. And so he told me he would rather talk about it if we went for a walk. And, the hospital was on multiple acres, and so the RN in charge of the unit said that it would be fine to go out for a walk and to talk with them. And so we did. Indeed, we went out for a walk, and we walked quite a bit. And he still was not comfortable in telling me as to why he had been moved. And I guess I would like to point out I was a student that was probably 22 years old at the most. So we went back in, and we went back to the unit, his locked unit, and I, locked the door behind me and left. And a couple of my fellow student nurses came and found me in a panic and wanted to know if I was all right and where I'd been, and that our instructors wanted to see me. And so, of course, I had a little anxiety because I wondered why the instructors needed to see me. And when I walked in to the room, there were 2 instructors, and they wondered if I was okay, questioning if I was all right. And of course I was. And so they wanted to know where I'd been, and I said I'd gone out to a walk with my patient to find out why he had been moved from the unlocked unit to the locked unit. And we walked and walked, and he didn't share anything with me, and so I brought him back in, and there I was. And then again, they wanted to make sure I was okay, which I was. And then they told me what he had done and why he was on the locked unit.
So, when you were a young nurse intern, you worked at this institution, and you made a relationship with this young man, and you had taken him out after he had been taken out where he was into a more secure place, because you wanted to know what happened, and he didn't disclose that. But when you came back, the administration was concerned about you. So, what happened?
Well, what he had done was, it always was a little clear, but he had a pillowcase. He had saved double-edged razors in the pillowcase. And after he had eaten that evening, the evening before, the evening he was moved from unlocked to locked, he got on the elevator with some of the dietary staff, stopped the elevator, and told them that he was going to cut them up in little pieces with the razor blade and put them in the pillowcase.
Now, if I was in that situation, I'd either feel one of 2 ways. I'd feel that my administration wasn't watching after me. I kind of feel abandoned. Or, on the other hand, after thinking about being in this situation, I'd be scared to death of what could have happened. Are any of these emotions, both or just one?
Well, we have to keep in mind that, as you can tell, that was more than 10 years ago. So my recollection is that I will tell you that I was shocked.
You were shocked?
I was shocked when my instructors told me what happened. Of course I thought, wow, you know. And then I thought, well, maybe somebody should have told me, instead of giving us permission to go out and walk around the grounds, because, you know, I was young, and I mean, I probably could have defended myself. However, I can say that now. But so it was a situation that I did see that I could tell that they were very concerned for my safety. However, the situation was already over.
That's right.
The potential for a bad situation, it didn't happen, thank goodness. But I did. I probably, I remember feeling a little insecure, but I would still go to visit him because that was part of my grade. He was my student, and he was the patient that was assigned to me for the whole rotation. And so it was really important, you know, to have that communication, that open communication. But I was wary after that. My trust was a little bit not as strong.
So you were shocked and insecure and a lack of trust because of the administration not taking into consideration what danger you were in.
Yeah. I mean, it was basically my safety. That's correct. Yeah.
So what was it that came about this that you changed in the environment? How did you feel towards the administration? Differently?
Well, I don't know that I felt differently. I guess how I changed was if another situation like that would have happened, I think I probably would have gone to them first so that they could have explained to me. So I would have known instead of stepping into a situation that nobody told me about. They thought, oh, sure, it'll be okay. You go about your way and it'll be all right.
Do you think you found yourself more wary about what you were going to do before you did it?
Well, I think it made me more aware of things. I also shared with you a situation where one of my classmates, we were in the youth center, because it was a psychiatric hospital, multiple building campus. And so she was working with some of the patients that she was assigned to, and unfortunately they locked her in a room with them. So I think it was an eye-opener that maybe the hospital administration and the nursing school administration maybe needed to watch over us a little closer, kind of for our basic safety. Yes.
And you kind of felt insecure, untrustworthy towards the administration, and you couldn't really trust everything yet?
Well, I think it was a learning experience that we had to be cautious.
Cautious. All right, let me summarize what we spoke about.
Okay.
You told me about the story about your internship and that you were brought to a particular patient and you weren't told what had happened, which was horrific. And you were in a situation that was quite scary. And you realized that the administration, they probably knew about it, or they did, and they didn't mention it to you. And so you resolved this by just being a little bit more cautious about what you were going to do.
Sure. And it was an experience, I think, again, when I referred to my other classmate, that we realized that I guess we had to step up and we were ultimately responsible. Well, we had to secure our own safety, yeah.
Well, thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.